Greetings, everyone. I want to talk today about the Venus cycle and how we are about to move through the phase where Venus shifts from being an evening star in the sky after the sunset. She will disappear from view as she's in her inferior conjunction, her time of movement between the Earth and the sun, and then she will emerge as a morning star. She's going to disappear from view around August 6th. She'll be conjunct the sun exactly on August 13th, and then she will reemerge as a morning star on August 21st. I'm going to show you where she is in the sky as this occurs, but I want to talk about how this is a profound time in her cycle. Remember, her full cycle is 584 days. She spends approximately 9 months as an evening star. Then she disappears from view and for a few weeks and reappears as a morning star, and then remains in the eastern sky before sunrise for approximately 9 months. And then she disappears again, now in her superior conjunction, meaning she's moving behind the sun. And that time of disappearance is approximately 3 months. And then she'll emerge again as an evening star. But this time when she is in her inferior conjunction between the Earth and the sun is when she is retrograde, and is when she is in the intense phase of her cycle that has a profound impact on us in terms of the way in which it's activating in our lives, how we're facing parts of ourselves that we may have repressed or lost connection with, but also how we're facing issues in our relationships with each other that we're needing to deal with in order to be more fully in alignment with our true selves and in healthy dynamics in relationships. This time that Venus is in her inferior conjunction is related to one of our oldest known myths, the myth of Inanna, coming from ancient Sumer, dating back it's one of our first known written myths and was probably written approximately 2000 BCE, but probably comes from an oral tradition that's at least 1,000 years older than that. But this myth is based on the Venus journey. Remember that in the age of Taurus, Venus was honored as a deity, and the ancient Sumerians referred to her as Inanna, Queen of Heaven. And the story is an amazing account of the Venus journey from her evening star phase to her disappearance into the underworld at the time of this inferior conjunction to her reemergence as a morning star. It is this time when she's between the Earth and the sun that it is the most intense time of her cycle. And in the myth, this is the time where Inanna is in the underworld going through a radical transformation of her sense of self, her own death rebirth to emerge with a new identity, a new way of being as she comes out of the underworld and emerges as a morning star. So as we're experiencing this transition time, and again, Venus will disappear from view about August 6th and be in this underworld phase of her journey until August 21st. This is likely to be a profound time for us where we, in some ways, are experiencing our own underworld journey of facing aspects of ourselves that we need to come back into relationship with, or working intense issues in our relationships with significant people in our lives that are calling us into some kind of transformation or way in which we're needing to look at our sense of identity and how we are in our dynamics in relationships with other people. all of this is occurring while we're in this profound time since mid-July through mid-December, when Pluto is squaring the lunar nodes, South Node in Libra, ruled by Venus, North Node in Aries, ruled by Mars. I think this is a profound time for us, individually and collectively, when we're not only being asked to look at how we're in relationship with ourselves, how we're in relationship with each other, but how we're dealing with the energies of the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine. As we're moving into the age of Aquarius, we are being guided to come back into balance with these energies within us. And if you haven't had a chance to see the interview that I did with Keone Hanale, please watch that. He has such profound ancient wisdom about how we can reintegrate the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine. And I'll include that link below this video. But I truly believe part of the healing that we're needing to do collectively is to come back into balance with those energies, because we have been in the last 5,000 years in this patriarchal period where the energy of Mars and the energy of the sacred masculine in an out of balance way has been the predominant paradigm that we've been in. And as we're moving into the age of Aquarius, for us to heal, to come back into right relationship with ourselves, with each other, with the earth, we need to rebalance the energies of the sacred feminine with the sacred masculine. So Venus, in this intense time in her cycle, is calling us into this time of transformation, into facing those energies of the sacred feminine within us, and to really support us in looking at how we may be out of balance in our relationships with parts of ourselves, as well as how we may be out of balance in our relationships with each other. Let me show you the chart of where Venus will be at the time of her conjunction with the sun during this time of her disappearance. At the time of Venus's conjunction with the sun, they will both be at 20 degrees of Leo and conjunct Black Moon Lilith. Black Moon Lilith is that energy of the ancient wisdom of the sacred feminine, which is about the importance of true equality, true mutuality in our relationships and in the dynamics in our male-female interactions with each other. Are we in mutual respect? Are we treating each other as equals? Are we in deep mutual relationship with each other? And Black Moon Lilith also is connected with what are the aspects of ourselves that are holding that wisdom of the sacred feminine, that wisdom of the sacredness of our embodiment, the wisdom of being in right relationship. How are we in connection with that or out of connection with that? So in an extraordinary way, this combination is guiding us, Leo, to connect with our hearts and get clarity. Venus and the sun and Lilith are squaring Uranus. We're being guided to get clarity, to see those ways that we're out of balance in our relationships, out of balance in the connections with ourselves and our own hearts, to come back into right relationship and living from the heart and being in dynamics of mutuality, respect, equality in how we interact with others. It's also significant that at this time, Venus will be trining the North Node, Eris, Xena, Chiron. We're getting the support of Chiron to heal in our relationships, to dare to move in new directions, Eris, Xena, to be in balance with how we are in our interactions with others. And this whole configuration of the Sun, Venus, and Black Moon Lilith are also in a powerful yod with Neptune and Pluto in this time of profound transformation, with Pluto in the final degrees of Capricorn, sextiling Neptune in Pisces, supporting us in moving into higher states of consciousness. How are we working this time of transformation, our deepening spiritual understanding, to be reclaiming these energies of the sacred feminine and coming back into balance in our relationships? Let me show you where Venus is in the sky at the time of this conjunction with the Sun. You can see that she is conjunct the Sun, and both are close to the royal star Regulus, the heart of Leo the lion. So Regulus is that star that represents the importance of our living from our hearts, the importance of our having courage in how we're expressing ourselves. And the Sun conjunct Venus close to the star Regulus is guiding us in how to be living these new patterns in relationship and in relationship with ourselves from a place of love and courage. This time when Venus is in conjunction with the Sun, is in her underworld journey, is the profound part of the story of Inanna, where she has been queen of heaven, beautiful in the evening sky. And the journey to the underworld for Inanna begins with these words from the myth. From the great above, she opened her ear to the great below. From the great above, the goddess opened her ear to the great below. From the great above, Inanna opened her ear to the great below. Inanna abandoned heaven and earth to descend to the underworld. In the story, it's beautifully describing how Venus, as an evening star, queen of heaven, makes this descent to the underworld because she hears the call of the great below. She sets out on this journey, and the archetypal meaning of this underworld journey in the myth is both Inanna's sense that she needs to reconnect with lost parts of herself that have been buried beneath the surface, but also she is seeking to reconnect with her lost sister, who she's been separated from. She's been queen of heaven, and Ereshkigal has been, her sister has been the queen of the underworld. Inanna opens her ear to the great below. What's profound about this myth of Inanna is it's the basis of the later Greek story of Demeter and Persephone. In that myth, Persephone does a journey to the underworld, but it is because she's abducted by Hades and pulled into the underworld. In the story of Inanna, Inanna chooses to go on this journey. And it isn't something that's happening to her. She realizes that she needs to reclaim lost parts of herself that are in the underworld. She hears the call of the great below to reconnect with these split off parts of herself. But in the story, she's also journeying to the underworld to reconnect with her lost sister, Ereshkigal, who is the queen of the underworld. And interestingly enough, Ereshkigal is in the underworld because she's been raped and abandoned and then repressed and sent into the underworld. So in many ways, what this myth is talking about archetypally is how are we meant to hear that inner call to go into this journey within ourselves, into our own underworld experience, in order to find those parts of ourselves that we may have repressed or split off because of trauma in our past, or pain that have come from ruptures or difficulties in our relationships. What is it that we need to face? What is it we need to hear in ourselves in order to come into our wholeness? The journey of Inanna to the underworld is a journey where she lets go of her sense of identity, the ways that she's defined herself. As she journeys into the underworld, she is asked at each gate as she goes deeper into the journey to let go of some way that she has defined herself or held onto a sense of security, until she arrives in the chamber of the underworld, naked, vulnerable, alone, facing her sister, Ereshkigal. That encounter with Ereshkigal then becomes a time of profound transformation for Inanna, a time of death rebirth. Ereshkigal, who's enraged that she's been banished and pushed into the underworld, and here is her sister who's come from all of her privilege and power, who's come to reconnect with her, who's come into her domain, she fixes the stare of hatred on Inanna, and Inanna is struck dead, and then is in the underworld for 3 days until she's revived by Enki, the god of wisdom, who sends the earth creatures to restore her, revive her, help her return to emerge back into the world now as a morning star. So the journey of Inanna into the underworld is a journey of transformation, of death, rebirth, of losing our sense of identity as we've known it, having to encounter the lost parts of ourselves, having to face issues, intense issues in relationships in our lives. And it's not an easy journey. It can be an intense transformational experience. It is about death, rebirth, death of a sense of identity from our past, to be reintegrating a new way of being, a new sense of who we are. As Inanna is in that underworld journey and has been struck dead in her encounter with Ereshkigal, she is rescued by her friend Ninshbar, who's come with her on the journey. Inanna asked her to watch over her as she's in the underworld, and if she didn't return, to get help, to get support. I think it's such a wise reminder that when we're facing these times of connecting to lost parts of ourselves, doing deep inner healing work, facing the challenges or the traumas in our relationships, we need support. We need to know that there is someone who is going to be our Ninshbar, who is going to be there for us, who's going to hold that connection with us to make sure we make it through the journey. So know that in these times where you're doing that inner healing work, or you're facing intense issues in relationships in your life, allow yourself to have the support that you need from someone who can understand you, be there for you, hold space for you. Ninshbar gets help for Inanna by going to Enki, the god of wisdom, who sends the earth creatures carrying the energies of the waters and food of life to revive Inanna, and also to be there for Ereshkigal in her pain. They mirror back and hear Ereshkigal in her pain and revive Inanna, such that she is then able to come back out of the underworld and return to the sky now as a morning star. But know that Inanna has gone through this time of transition and transformation. She emerges in the morning sky with the intensity of this experience that she's just been through. And for many ancient cultures, including the Mayans, they saw that phase where Venus emerges as a morning star as when she is most bright and most intense in the sky. As Inanna emerges from the underworld, the spirits of the underworld follow her, and they say, someone needs to take your place if you're going to be released from the underworld. And then there's this whole part of the story with Inanna where they seek who will replace her and take their time in the underworld. And they try to take Ninshabar, her friend, and she refuses to allow them to do that. They try to take Inanna's son. And again, she's adamant that she does not want her son to journey to the underworld. And interestingly enough, the one who ends up having to do their own time in the underworld is Dumuzi, Inanna's partner, who is in the story Mars. Mars then needs to go and do his own journey into the underworld to be in his own process of healing and transformation. How profound a story is this in terms of also being so clear about how when we're in relationship, when we're in an intimate relationship with someone, if we do our own inner work, if we do our own healing journey and do that transformational process of hearing the call of the great below, journeying into the underworld to then return transformed, it's really important for the person we're in relationship with to do their own deep inner work so that we can reconnect then in a deeper intimacy and true mutuality, both having done that work of seeing those lost parts of the self, of healing, to be moving into a deeper level of connection with each other. And the story is describing the movement of the planets in the sky. As we experience this time where Venus goes into the underworld, disappears from view from about August 6th until she reemerges on August 21st, then she's going to be coming back as a morning star. She will continue to be retrograde until September 3rd, but she will be in the sky as a morning star. And remember that retrograde period is when we are reviewing our issues in relationship, are looking at how we're in relationship with ourselves, how we're in interaction with others. And then mid-October, Mars will be moving into conjunction with the sun. It will be exactly conjunct the sun on November 18th, but Mars will disappear from view about October 10th and then be invisible in the sky as it's under the beams of the sun until it reemerges at the end of December, December 31st. So across these next months, we are not only experiencing that profound square of Pluto with the lunar nodes, Libra and Aries, but Venus is doing her underworld transformational journey, and then Mars will do his underworld transformational journey, October through December. So we are being called individually to do the inner work that we need to do to be reintegrating the Venus energy and Mars energy within us in a more balanced way. We need to look at those ways in which we have been disconnected from parts of ourselves or out of balance with that Venus and Mars energy. And in a profound way, in our collective consciousness, our global community, we are being called into a radical transformation transformational and healing process around how we work that Venus Mars energy in our collective consciousness. In this patriarchal period, we have been in an out of balanced dominator paradigm where the Mars energy has been about power over, about exploitation of each other, of the resources of the earth. It is about conquest, control, violence. It is a disconnection from our sense of mutuality, of equality, of justice, of compassion, collaboration, true community with each other. Remember in that conversation that I had with Keone Hanalei, one of the things that he talks about coming from the ancient new wisdom of 20,000 years ago is that the balance of the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine is the importance of the sacred feminine being our foundation, our sense of belonging, our sense of connection with the earth, with our embodiment, with our sense of safety. And then the energies of the sacred masculine become, how do we then act on the basis of that foundation, that inner security, that sense of connection with ourselves, with the earth, with the sacred feminine, to then act from the heart with compassion to make our contribution, to be creative, to be manifesting in ways that are of service to others. That is when Venus and Mars are in their right relationship, their true mutuality, their true balance with each other. We are being guided in these profound times with Venus moving through the underworld transformational journey, and then Mars being called into his journey to reclaim Venus as our foundation, as our sense of safety, our honoring of our embodiment, of the true meaning of being in right relationship within ourselves, with each other, to then bring Mars back into connection with the heart, back into right relationship, back into right expression of our actions and our energies, to be creators and manifestors of the energy of love and harmony and right relationship. Let me now show you where Venus is going to be in the sky when she emerges as a morning star, when she emerges from this underworld journey in her new transformed sense of self. As Venus emerges as the morning star before the sunrise, the sun will be at that time almost exactly conjunct the royal star Regulus, the heart of the lion. And Venus will be in the sky very close to the head of the serpent of the constellation Hydra. There are two ancient constellations with this serpent image. One is Hydra, which is our largest constellation in the sky, extending 95 degrees from the, beneath the stars of Cancer to Scorpio along the ecliptic. The other constellation with the serpent is Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer, who is holding the serpent in his arms and is that incredible integration of the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine. Remember that the serpent is our oldest known image of the great goddess, of the energies of the sacred feminine. So Venus, as she's emerging from the underworld and emerging with these powerful energies of her transformation, of her rebirth, is pointing to and guiding us to focus on these energies of Hydra, the great serpent, this ancient image of the great goddess. As we're in this profound time of transition, moving into the age of Aquarius, we are being supported in reconnecting with these lost energies of the sacred feminine. It is the energy of the sacred feminine that can help us have that foundation of safety, of honoring the sacredness of all of life, of being back in connection with the earth, back in the sacredness of our embodiment, back in that sense of right relationship with each other and all that is, to then be manifesting and co-creating a new world where that energy of Venus and Mars are in right balance with each other, where the energies of the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine are back in mutuality, in right respect, in right harmony with each other. This is the critical turning point for us globally as well as individually. If we don't bring these energies back into balance, we will be on a path of self-destruction. But in an extraordinary way, Venus in her journey, Mars in his journey, Pluto squaring these lunar nodes in Libra and Aries, the energies of the earth and sky are helping us remember, helping us hear the call of the great below, to be willing to do our own individual journeys of healing and transformation, to come out of that journey transformed, renewed, rebirthed, able to move into these new paradigms of the Aquarian age. This is our opportunity for being in that time of transition and transformation, to reclaim the lost parts of ourselves, to emerge in our wholeness, to reintegrate these energies of the sacred feminine and sacred masculine within us. As you experience this time of Venus's disappearance from being an evening star to then reemerging as a morning star, I encourage you to be daily meditating and journaling about what feelings are coming up for you around aspects of yourself that you may need to reconnect with, aspects of yourself that may have been buried or split off because of the trauma from the past, or abuse or abandonment or ruptures in past relationships. And what feelings, memories, issues are coming up for you around dynamics in relationship? What ways are you out of balance in your personal relationships that you need to face, that you need to see? Let yourself hear the call of the great below. Hear that inner voice calling you into your own journey of healing and transformation. Honor that. It is when we can honor that experience of going into the underworld to see and face those parts of ourselves, to be in that transformational process, that we then can emerge healed, transformed, more whole in who we are, and more than able to be in mutuality in relationship, to be in balance in relationship, to respect ourselves and have that deeper awareness of our own feelings and needs, to seek out truly mutual, healthy, balanced relationships with other people where there is that capacity to hear each other, genuinely connect with each other from the heart, to be supporting each other in being the best of who we each are, of being in the wholeness of who we are and the expression of our true selves. Think about what we're capable of as humanity if we come back into right relationships. with each other. In the world right now, we're seeing so many places where there is war, bloodshed, violence, abuse, exploitation, where we treat each other like objects, or we treat each other with complete disregard, or it's all about conquest, power over, destruction, exploitation. We need to say, enough is enough. That is Mars out of control, out of balance. As we reclaim that energy of the sacred feminine, as we allow that understanding of right relationship to be at the core of who we are, then that Venus energy, just as in the myth of Inanna, calls Mars back into his transformation journey, to dive into the underworld, to see how those expressions of Mars energy have been out of balance. It's a time where Venus says to Mars, enough is enough. You need to heal. You need to be in your own underworld transformational journey to emerge reborn in a new way. October to December, Mars will be in his journey to see, helping us to see how we're out of balance with that Mars energy, individually and collectively. Allow yourself to work this process consciously, to be reclaiming that balance of the sacred feminine and sacred masculine within you, to be coming back to living from your heart in right harmony, right relationship. If enough of us reclaim that integration and balance of the sacred feminine and sacred masculine, we can call the world back into balance and say, enough, no more war, no more violence, no more exploitation, no more abuse. We choose to live with courage from the heart, in right harmony, in equality, in true mutuality, in respect and compassion for each other, to co-create a new world and to move into the consciousness that we're capable of as humanity. May we work this process together and honor the importance of the underworld journey, the time of going within for healing and transformation, so that individually and collectively we can emerge transformed. Blessed be.